what is up? Welcome to Dharma Time here on WPSN99.com. Oh, I didn't do it. WPSN99.com. So I am your host, the Dharma Guy, here with the Dope Doctor.
That was pretty good there, Trinity. That was pretty good.
I'm trying, man. See, this is the time I didn't get it on cue. Like last time it was you, this time it was me. Anyways, welcome. Here's Dharma Time.
Yeah.
Your weekly jaunt into philosophy and spirituality.
I like it.
That's right, man. We're here to please. It was a good week, though. It was a good week.
Not for everybody.
Oh, no, not for everybody.
It's been an awesome, interesting week.
It has, man.
More crying.
There's been ups and downs for everybody, right? I mean, you got all the election stuff that's happened, of course, which we will not get into because we've gotten into it way too much.
You can't help but get into it, though.
I know. It's very, I don't know what the word is. Encapsulating. There we go. It's a good one.
You know, you want to say hi to Randy, Marissa, Craig?
Hey, Randy, Marissa, Craig. What's going on?
Martha, Johnny. A lot of people on. I'm sorry, probably missing some people.
Anyways, yes, it's been a crazy week. First of all, I extend my condolences to all the people who are struggling out there with the fires in California. That's crazy.
Oh, my God.
That is a not so happy thing that's happening right now. There's a lot of people dying. It's crazy.
A town called Paradise is no longer
it's
in
not
existence.
Paradise anymore. No. And you know what I saw too on Twitter? There's a lot of people, like a lot of celebrities, are losing their homes out there right now. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Wow. And have you seen the videos from that though?
Yeah.
The videos of them driving through. Yeah. It's like a firestorm.
Yeah. A lot of people have died that way. A lot of people died that way, trying to drive out and then hit
it's crazy to me.
A block.
It looks so intense to me.
A dead end or something.
Yeah, man, it looks very intense. Yeah. And
the wind is what makes it hard.
Yeah.
It just rushes.
I've been in something like that.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. When I was a little kid, there was a fire that started behind my house. It was like a big, huge forest fire, and I remember, you know what? This is a great segue to our topic today.
Go for it. Segue away.
So I remember we were in the back of my house. We were playing Manhunt, and I don't know for those of you who don't remember, the newer generations. Manhunt is basically you just go outside and you basically try to shoot each other with either imaginary guns or paintballs, whatever. You play war kind of thing.
Or real guns in the right neighborhood.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Whatever.
But anyways, we were out there playing Manhunt, and we started seeing a bunch of smoke. Yeah. We're like, hey, we should probably head back now.
Yeah.
I come around a corner, and I saw fire on this side, and I kid you not, there was a big, a path, where cars would go down, almost like a road.
Right.
I saw the fire jump from one side of the road in front of me to the other side of the road and catch on and engulf. Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, whoa. Obviously, we can't go that way anymore. So we were caught in a maze trying to get out. And when we finally got on the street, there was firefighters everywhere. Smoke was all over the place. People were worried. They thought we started it. It was insane. So I've kind of been in a similar situation. Wow. I haven't been in the exact situation these people are in, where I'm losing my home and I'm driving around. And it looks like a crazy firestorm. But that doesn't mean I can't empathize with their situation.
Right.
Which is what today's topic is. So last week we did empathy, right?
Yeah.
Empathizing with other people, even people who you don't agree with, understanding their perspective, their individual plights in life, if you will.
Right.
So then that led me to think about everybody has their own story, right? And what I've noticed is everybody I talk to, and I'm speaking in hyperbolic terms, obviously. It's not
speaking in what terms?
Hyperbolic terms. Jesus. I'm doing my best Trump impression. It was the best.
That was more like a Mike Tyson impression.
No, what I'm getting at though is have you ever noticed that when you speak to people, it's
they walk away and stop listening?
Yeah. Whatever situation they're going through is the worst, and you can never understand it. Have you ever come across that?
Of course.
Where it's no, you don't understand. It was really bad.
Of course.
And you're like, no, I think I understand. No. You unless you were there, it's impossible for you to understand.
I'm a professional listener, Trinity.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about today, is everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And there's a few key points that I think were interesting.
Right.
And that is that more often than not, people come with this conclusion of their story is the most intense or the worst or the craziest. And it's impossible for you to understand unless you've been through it.
Right.
And the other half of that is unless you've been through it, you can't even help me.
Right.
Because it's so crazy and so absurd. And so I want to do a show on that because I think that happens a lot. I think everybody encounters that in their daily life.
Right.
And I think it could be frustrating for some and confusing for others.
Very
frustrating in the sense of if you feel that you truly do understand it can be frustrating for somebody to constantly tell you don't understand, because it's like, well, I feel pretty intelligent. Like, I think I understand.
Well, yeah. Well, because understanding and agreeing is two different things.
Exactly.
I mean, just let me understand what you're saying, but not agree with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's frustrating on that end. It's also probably frustrating for the person who feels that nobody understands, because like, you don't understand.
Yeah,
like they get stuck in that moment of like, you don't really understand what I've been through because you haven't done it. Right. It's probably frustrating for them as well to have that, be it perceived or real. They think that nobody understands their plight in life
or identify with.
Yeah,
you can't identify with my situation if you're not in my situation or have never been in my situation. Kind of conversation. Yeah.
And so it's got to be frustrating too to feel that way. I think.
Right.
And then it's also frustrating for if you want to try to help somebody and you're trying to be there to support somebody, and all they're doing is telling you that you don't understand. And at that point, you're like, well, what does it matter? I'm still here to help you.
Right.
Like, I'm still trying to help. It doesn't matter if I understand it or not.
Right.
And so that's the direction I think we're going to go to.
Right. Well, and we have people, just so people know on the radio, that we have people on Facebook Live watching on Facebook Live. So if we make a comment about somebody's comment, they're not calling into the show. We're not doing that right now. No, we're not venturing there
not yet.
But we do the Facebook Live. So like Marissa said exactly, people think you don't understand if you don't agree.
Yes.
And that's what we're talking about.
That too.
Yeah.
But like, here's an example, right?
What's up, Pink?
What started this whole thing, right, was over the weekend. I was in a conversation with somebody.
Right.
And I'm going to leave people out because I'm not trying to put their personal business.
Yeah.
We'll call this person A.
Yeah.
So I was talking to person A. And they are younger, and they're entering into the dating world.
Right.
And this person identifies as gay.
Right.
And we were talking. We were all kind of in this group discussion. Right. And person A was telling me that they didn't want to come to me to get any insight that I could offer, because being the fact that they were gay, their goal was to have sex with another man.
Right.
And so coming to me wouldn't make sense because I don't know anything about having sex with another man. They were trying to go to someone. They were trying to go to a woman.
Right.
But what I said was, I've never. My goal was to never have sex with another man.
Right.
However, I can relate to the newness of the chase and trying to get to know somebody and your desires and wondering what they're thinking and what you're thinking.
Right.
And all, that to me is all the same. I don't care what the gender of the people are, or the sexual orientation. It's all kind of the same.
Yeah.
But in this person's mind, I was so non-qualified and couldn't offer any insight or value whatsoever because I wasn't gay. And I'm like, but that's just, and to me, I think that's indicative of where we're at.
And that's kind of unfortunate, actually, because as much as we try to say, look, we're not different people. We just have different preferences.
Yeah.
For you to feel like you can't come to me because we have different preferences, it's kind of sad.
Well, I think
I
think that's where we're at, though. I think that
you think that's where we're at. No, I think we're past that.
I think we're there at a lot.
I think that person's a young person, therefore that's where they're at.
True,
but I don't think as a people that's where we're at.
It depends on the situation.
Really, you think so?
I do.
Okay.
Not overwhelmingly, but I think we all have certain little categories within us that it's like a no-go zone. Like an example of like in the addiction world.
Okay.
I've heard that a lot.
Right.
Being the fact that you're not an addict, you can't understand what I'm doing.
Right.
And while and this is where you and I talked previously.
Right.
Where I think that kind of where the gray area or the line, if you will, I don't know how you want to word it. I think that there's a difference between understanding somebody's perspective and understanding your situation. Mm-hmm. Like, in the addiction world, being the fact that I'm not an addict, I'm never going to know what it's like specifically to have the perspective of an addict. I'm not going to know what it's like.
That's a blessing right there, brother.
To wake up and have my brain hijacked and making decisions that I feel powerless to control. Like, I feel completely powerless. My brain is doing what it wants to do. I'm never going to know what that feels like. But I can, because I've helped so many of them, I can tell you what it's like to be an addict and how to get through it and the different emotions you're going to experience and all these other things.
And like Randy said, that's the stigma. That's the stigma attached to these things, is that you can't relate or you can't understand. But you actually can, because these are natural human emotions and feelings that we all go through. You might not understand the hijacking, where you actually think you're the one thinking it. Yeah. But you're not. But even us, we get confused on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me.
Well, I think that's what it is, though. Is just we all kind of get into this idea that, my situation's so different, it's impossible to get.
Right.
Well, because it feels so different and overwhelming to you, sure, it feels that way. But everybody feels that way about every situation.
Right.
Like over the weekend, I was you and I actually haven't talked about this yet.
Right.
I briefly mentioned it before we went on,
Mm-hmm.
but growing up, my mom would have migraines.
Right.
And I saw her going through them. It was horrible to watch. As a kid, I was like, oh, it's not a fun thing to watch.
Right.
Now that I'm married, my wife has like these horrible migraines.
Ugh.
I'm talking about like she'll be knocked out for like 24 hours and more sometimes, like completely devastating, like a bad train wreck, right? And watching it, it's a horrible thing to watch. And I'm like, I can't imagine how much it sucks. And I try to do my best to help. And I've learned with her that she just basically just leave her alone, let her go in a dark room, kind of just back off and take care of the house and let her just sleep it off, essentially, right? But and thankfully I never experienced migraines, but I felt like I understood what she was going through because I've experienced pain.
Right.
I've experienced physical, mental, and emotional pain, things that are happening in my life. I've experienced all that, so I felt like I could empathize, and I felt like I understood. But there's a lot of people out there would say, unless you've had a migraine, you'll never understand, right? But so, long story short, it appears, I'm not a doctor, but it appears from my resident expert on migraines at the house, I had my first migraine over the weekend.
It was all over your head?
It was horrible.
The whole head?
It was worse headache.
Sound and,
my
and light
God,
and all that?
And it came out of nowhere. I was washing dishes, doing my thing. Next thing you know, I was like, man, I got a headache. And then like, man, this thing's getting really bad. Like and it felt like my head was in a vice and it kept pulsating. I started getting like nauseous. All my
Sounds like it.
I couldn't think of anything else in the world other than why does my head hurt so bad right now? She made me go and like take a shower and stuff, and then she kept telling me to turn off the light. I'm like, but I'm not like light. It doesn't bother me. She flipped off the light. It got like instant.
Better.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then she gave me some this Imitrex thing that she had that helps with it, and then with like 20 minutes it went away.
Right.
So absolutely horrible. It appears to the untrained eye, had my first migraine. Having said that, I don't feel like I empathize with her any more now than I did previously, because I felt like I still understood it. It was just bad pain. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks, and I understand her perspective more now. Right. I understand the perspective of what goes through my mind and the process of it, but I don't feel like I understand the situation any more now than I did before.
Well, my father suffers those since like a teen, and so the way I kind of always related was through the addiction part, because he used to not be able to leave. Like, if we would drive away and he forgot his pills, we'd drive him back. I don't care how far you drove.
Sure.
Like that sack of pills was always next to that man. So the way I looked at it was like, if I knew I was going to come down, I always made sure I had something. Right. So that obsession or that fear of pain, the fear of what it's going to feel like if I don't get what I need or if I don't resolve it, because his wasn't necessarily like, I never watched my dad. My dad never told me he's currently experiencing it because he'd kind of be away. Right. But it was the anticipation, and he always made sure the medication was in place, because you gotta take the medication before it happens, because that's the difference. Like, I guarantee you, with Angel, if she takes the medication after it already happens, it's too late.
Yeah, well, she was telling me with the one I took, Imitrex, I guess, at the onset, as soon as it starts, you gotta take it. Yeah, thankfully we caught mine within a couple. Like, she, I guess she's so well adapted to it. She knew immediately, like, oh, here, take this. Like, I know what this is. Take it.
But you bring up a good point, bringing it back to what we're talking about, which is everyone has a story. Is that there's going to be, even like if you're talking about that, someone will say, well, but mine is like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But mine is worse, because even mine won't go away with it, or that medication doesn't work for me, and stuff like that.
So it's impossible for you to understand.
Right. And are you talking about this in a way that you think, like, why do you think people are doing that? Do you think they're doing that to relate to you? They're trying to contribute to the conversation?
I don't know.
Or that one-upping is just part of somebody's personality?
I think it's all the above, man. I don't really know.
Because some people just have that personality.
I don't know what the goal is for, and you and I did mention this earlier, what the goal is for somebody to say, well, you don't understand. Right. Like, are they, like, I don't know what the goal is. I can't speak for everybody, but I don't know. That's why I'm talking about it.
And you know what? Sometimes I don't understand.
Yeah.
But is that my job position? I mean, exactly. Maybe at this point in time, I'm just your friend. I'm your support system just to listen to you. I mean, I don't have to completely understand. I understand you're in pain. I understand you're frustrated, or I understand you're going through something. But do I have the answer for you at this point in time? Maybe my job is just to listen.
The only thing I can think of is I think we kind of all desperately seek in our own way validation of some sort.
Right.
Like if I'm feeling bad, I want you to tell me it's okay to feel bad. I want you to agree with me and be like, that is horrible. Like, I think that's what a lot of people seek is validation. And I think maybe they feel sometimes that you're not validating if you're I don't know, man.
Right.
I don't really know. I honestly don't know.
You bring up a point that was in the news, and like if I was a person of faith, because you and I both have a lot of friends around us that are of high level of faith, and they would say, "I'm going to pray for you," and that's their way of saying, "I validate you." Like to some people, apparently, that's like offensive now. By the way, it's not offending me if you tell me that. If you want to pray for me, please. I need all of them. I'll take all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I personally couldn't care less either way.
But what I'm saying is if that's your method, I guess what I'm saying is if that's your method of validating my feelings or relating to my feelings, then I need to be okay with that.
Yeah,
that's on me now.
Yeah.
Right.
I can absolutely respect that.
Like if somebody passes away, it's like, what are the right words, right? Like if you lost somebody, what are the right words?
Exactly.
Especially if you lost a child or something like that. Because I speak to people all the time that have just lost a child.
Right.
There's really no right words that I'm going to use at that point in time.
There isn't any. Yeah.
So I'm going to have to at least admit I don't know the right words. But there's always words of comfort that we all kind of we have in our bag, and we kind of use those.
Well, the thing that I think that sometimes we forget while we're in the midst of whatever our unique crisis is, or even triumph for that matter, because I think people do it on the other end of the spectrum as well.
Right.
Like I think, man, that actually reminds me. I think that'd be a good conversation to have, man. I wouldn't mind talking to like Daryl, right?
For
those of you who don't know, we have a great friend, Daryl Strawberry, four-time World Series champ.
Mm-hmm.
So not to take it away from our conversation, but to add to the conversation.
Okay.
I don't think people say it only in terms of how bad or how much pain or trauma. I think it's also in a good things too. Like you could say, hey, you don't understand the high of being able to hit a home run in front of 70,000 fans.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? You're right. I can't.
No, there's no way.
There's no way I can understand that.
No, or playing in a World Series, period.
No, but I can understand being proud of an accomplishment and feeling very hyped up about something. Mm-hmm. Like, not to say it's the same, but I mean, we do a show, and if we have people respond well or people are watching, it feels good. Like, does it feel the same of having 100,000? No, of course not. But emotions are still the same, and I think that's the thing that we kind of all have to remember is, like I think you and I said, I think it was last week, pain is pain.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're hurting or even joy is joy. Evaluate or messed that word up.
Elajoy?
No, I completely.
I don't even know what word you try to say.
But my point being is the emotions are still the same. Like when that gentleman was talking to me about,
there are different intensity levels.
Absolutely.
Right.
But if the person was trying to explain to me that I didn't know what they were going through because I'm not a homosexual,
right,
and on the eve of an experience or the chase, or whatever. Well, I've had those exact same feelings, though. It might not be towards a male, but I still had those feelings.
You know what? But
and those emotions are the same. Fear, anxiety, excitement, curiosity. Those are all the same.
But at the same time, you don't want to discount the differences he's feeling.
Sure.
And that's the line, right?
Yeah,
that's the line of if you come to me and tell me you don't understand because you haven't went through this, I don't want to discount the fact that there are differences.
Sure.
But I do want to talk about the similarities, and I think that's the fine line you have to communicate.
I agree.
Is to say you're right. I don't know the.
But my question is, what does it matter?
Things. Well, it might matter to that person, and I think that's where the conversation that I would want to have is.
Why does it matter?
But
so
it might
much?
not be timely for that conversation.
No.
Whereas later on, I'm going to put that in my memory bank, and then later on we're going to have. Well, yeah, because later on we're going to have a conversation of, hey, remember when we had this conversation? I noticed that you were feeling very different, and so I want you to feel the same as possible.
Right.
I want you to feel as normal as possible. And for some reason, you're taking your homosexuality and making yourself like not normal. And I want you to know that that's kind of the goal that we have for anyone in your situation is to feel as normal as possible.
Right.
Don't let the things of the past or some of the occurrences in this world make you feel abnormal or different than. Right. We all have our differences. And so we either going to walk around and be all categorized and just walk around with a banner of our differences, which is fine. I mean, every once in a while it's okay to put up a little banner of difference, but just to understand at the core of who you are and some of those feelings that we talked about back then, those were actually very normal human feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I guess my question, though, the things that inevitably come to my mind are, number one, why does it matter? Right? What is it, like in the big scheme of things, what does that matter? And I just people do it. Man. they do it every day. It's sometimes in big things and sometimes in little things. And I'm guilty of it. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a large man. You and I were just talking about. I'm a large human being. Mm-hmm. And so like sometimes my wife will she she gets this bad habit of putting stuff on the tank of the toilet, mm-hmm. right? So for her being a smaller woman, I mean she's itty bitty, dude. She's like 5'4" or something. So for her it's like, oh, it's a great decorative piece, you know. But for me,
like right here on the tank behind you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But for me it's like, God dang it, man, because every time I turn, my elbow hits everything and it falls all over the place.
Right.
Because I'm like 4 times her size.
Right.
And so for her, she just doesn't understand what it's like to walk through life being, you know, huge, where you don't fit into certain things, or like I've never met a back seat that I enjoy.
I see what you're saying. So what might be decorative to her
is torture for me.
It's kind of in your way because where your toilet paper is.
Yeah, yeah.
So you knock it down every time.
Every time.
Every time.
You know, or even like a back seat type deal.
Right.
Most people.
Well, who's going to put you in a back seat?
That's my point.
Oh.
Most average people will be like, oh, I can sit in the back seat. Nobody. Me, it's like, bruh, shotgun, like, because you know, I'm a big dude, man.
I mean, if you want to go in the back seat, I'll let you go in the back seat.
It's not going to happen.
But I'm not going in the back seat.
No, I think I've reached a point.
That's why I like
life.
to drive.
Exactly. But even in that situation, it's like, you know, there's parts of me that have those same feelings of, gosh, if I could only get her to walk around just one day feeling that way, it would all make sense to her. Right. You know, and then I guess at the end of the day, my agenda is for her to stop. Right? I mean, I guess that's what it is. If my secret agenda...
Just knock it down and break it.
Oh, I do. No, I've got to the point now where I just move stuff.
Just passive aggressive.
No, I just move it, and she'll walk in. Why's this moved? Oh, I don't know. Why'd you put it there in the first place?
Right.
But I think that maybe that's what it is just still validation. I think it's that feeling of wanting you to agree with me. Right. Like I want you to agree and stop, or start, or whatever, you know, whatever the desired goal is.
You know, more unfortunate than the people out there that are one-upping you all the time are the people that are not relating to you and feeling like you don't get them, but they're not saying anything.
Yeah.
I think that saddens me a little bit more. That there's a lot of people out there walking around feeling very different, feeling that you're not understanding their plight or their issues or how deep it hurts them or pains them, yet they're just not saying anything about it because they don't feel like anyone will get it.
Well, it's actually kind of funny you bring that up. Another situation, I guess. Yeah. You know, see, the small things, man. I didn't even think about this prior to the show, but it all makes sense. Mm-hmm. HBO came up with this thing about the veteran crisis thing. Mm-hmm. So I was watching this. First of all, it's a horrible thing to watch, dude.
Veteran crisis?
Oh, my God. I was watching
That's a hard topic for me. You know, I come from a veteran's home.
It was so bad.
Right.
Like, just watching it, I was just like, it hurt somewhere deep inside. Yeah. And that's my thing, is I had empathy even though I didn't experience this stuff.
Sensitive subject for me.
But it was a crisis thing where they were showing people who work at those facilities where people are calling in and they're trying to talk these vets like off the ledge, essentially.
Right.
And so, I really truly believe that these people empathize with those on the phone, even though they weren't vets, even though they didn't have PTSD, even though they weren't sitting there with a gun or pills in their hand. I think these people truly cared. Like, you can see them; they really feel for these vets, and they work their asses off to make sure that these people are okay and getting taken care of, even though they haven't gone. And there was one vet that actually called and said that he wanted, you know, you don't understand. I need to speak to a vet, right? Because they're the only ones that that would get it. And I'm sure he felt that way. But I watched the other ones doing it. They all empathize. They all got it. Right. Do they get it to the extent of somebody who lived it and was sitting there and had their friend die in their arms? Of course not. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that those people weren't in a position to help. And I think that is a good takeaway that I do want to make sure people walk away with from this show, is even though whoever it is that you're speaking to might not have gone through your exact situation, that doesn't mean that they don't add value. Right. That doesn't mean that they can't help your situation and give you a different perspective. Right. Maybe because they didn't experience it, their value, their opinion has a different value to it because they're not in the middle of it.
Well, yeah, because all perspectives are important perspectives, right?
Yeah.
You do want to hear you don't want to just be around people who agree with you, who are just can identify with you, because then you're probably just going to get stuck in having the same old feeling.
No, but
with
you know
no resolve.
Expand on that, because that's important. I don't think a lot of people realize how important that is. How important it is to, like, man, I'm glad you pointed it out. Dude, a lot of people will in life, we typically gravitate to those like-minded people.
Right.
It's just a normal
Which is
thing.
normal, yeah.
You know, you're going to hang out with people who work at the same place, or feel the same place, like the same sports team, whatever. You're going to gravitate to those people because it's a camaraderie that you have.
Right.
But I think that oftentimes we get caught up in that, and we think that is the world.
Right.
We think that that's just a microcosm of the world as a whole, and it's just not. But I think that we do get caught up in that. I really do. I think that we get caught up in, was it the confirmation bias type of thing, you know, where it's like, oh, well, my friends feel this way.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody must. No. Those are your friends because that's the ones that you sought out.
Yeah. And they may be great for you in certain instances.
Right.
But maybe not when you need to kind of challenge your own thought. When you need to challenge your own feelings and challenge your own thought and challenge your own perspective, your friends are probably not the best ones to do that.
No.
Because
they're going to agree with you.
Yeah. Plus, they have motives. So number one, they're already like-minded, probably to some degree. But number two is they have a motive. They want you to be okay with them, or they want you to be okay. Like I remember, like in those early years of my life, my motive was I didn't want to really listen to you. Because I kind of was doing my own thing.
Sure.
So when people had problems, I just wanted you to drink something or get high or something and just go that way.
Shut up.
Yeah. So every answer I had was you just need more of something.
Right.
Like, so I thought if you had a female, or if you had some drugs, or if you had some alcohol,
take
or
this,
if you had something to
two
do,
of these and call me
you
in the
would
morning.
shut up.
Yeah.
You know. So I was a very bad listener early on because all I wanted to do was be heard.
Right.
My issue was feeling I felt not heard. So early on in my life, everything was about being heard.
Right.
But once I started being heard and felt comfortable with that I'm being heard, now I've learned to be a better listener.
Right.
So it just really depends on who you are at the time, and you just need to maybe kind of think about sometimes about, do I surround myself with enough diversity? And by diversity, I don't mean color and culture. I mean diversity in thought, period. You know, so those outliers on the left and the right, that kind of helps, you know, wherever you want to be. You kind of should always be in the middle of your friends. So even if you're not in the middle politically or in the middle socially, if you have people to the left of you and to the right of you, you're probably in the right spot.
I just thought the
you're probably in the right spot. Yeah. That's how I feel. Yeah. And I'm stuck in the middle with you. So Steelers wheels, right? So the point is,
we just both showed our age right there.
I love it. But the point is you kind of always want, like, you don't want to be the richest friend. You kind of want to have friends that are richer than you, and you want to have friends that are poorer than you.
Sure.
You don't want to have the worst car, right? You want to have people that have worse cars. It's better. Like everything
right in the middle, baby. The middle way.
I think that if you put yourself in the middle in most things that you do in your life, like, remember, I'm the one that says I strive to be a 5.
Well, that's
I
what
strive
Buddhism
for 5.
is. Buddhism
I
is
just
the
want to
middle
be a
path.
5. Yep. I want to be a 5. I don't want to be a 10. I don't want to be a 0. I like to be a 5, and everything I do that way, I have something to want to achieve, and I have a perspective on, look, it can always be worse, right? And so that, I think, is at least for me, is helpful of dealing with problems in life. By me knowing I'm a 5 and kind of sticking around people with lesser and more, it kind of helps me put things in perspective.
Well, I think the other important, I guess, question, and we kind of touched on it earlier, but we didn't go anywhere with it, and that is, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, part of me says, is there anything
what is the it when you say what is it matter?
The fact that somebody can't understand.
Okay.
Right? And like, what is your objective? What does it matter if that person doesn't truly understand?
Can I respond to this real quick?
Go for it.
Because my brother says, so you strive for mediocrity. No, I don't, actually. I raise the bar based on, it's a mediocrity if you're going to judge it by the left and the right of the people that I'm around. I actually strive for more, but my friends also get more and more money. My friends also have more and more. So I'm moving forward.
Well, comparison's like the enemy to happiness right there.
It's just, you just don't want to be the top.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just don't strive. I think it's impossible to get the number 1 position, I guess. You know what I mean? And that comes from being the number 2 son. I'm the number 2 son. So I never look at it like I could be the number 1 son.
Okay.
But can I move closer to being the best looking son? Well, he knows that I am. The smartest son? Well, he knows that I am.
Fighting words. There you go, man.
Anyway, go. What was it?
No, my thing was just like, you know, I'm just trying to think. Okay, I use my personal situation so that way we don't offend anybody.
Right. Okay.
So, assuming my wife will never understand what it's like to go through the house at 6'3", you know, 300 fucking pound dude.
Yeah.
Does it matter? Like, if she stops putting the thing on the back of the tank so I knock it over, does it really matter if she understands it? And if I'm honest, no. Like, it doesn't. Would it make me feel better? Like, if I'm in my feelings, sure, I'd feel better. But at the end of the day, which one would I rather have? Would I rather her tell me she understands and truly understand it, but keep doing it?
Right.
Or not understand it and stop doing it? I'd much rather her not understand and stop doing it. Because at the end of the day, it's what it is. I want this to stop and to make my life a little bit easier.
Right.
So I guess, so does it really matter? If we're honest with ourselves, does it truly matter if the other person understands completely or not? Like, does it really have if your desired goal is validation, I can validate you without truly understanding things.
Right.
If your true goal was to get help with your situation, I can help you if I don't understand you. I can still help you. Like, so.
At that moment, it matters.
Okay.
But
why?
that just means I'm very sensitive at the moment.
Sure.
But I think it's okay to not matter at the moment, but as long as my takeaway later on is then to work on the sensitivity to it.
Right.
Because if I don't work on the sensitivity to it, then I'm going to walk around with a big old button of pain that everyone can push at any given time.
Yeah.
And I think the whole goal in life should be to reduce the button that people can push, right?
Exactly.
To like, if I want to expose that button, that's on me. But the fact that if I walk around with just a huge button,
it's going to be a long life, bro.
Life just is going to suck really
my
bad.
My button used to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Now my button is very, very small.
Yeah, I tapped my own button everywhere.
Exactly.
I'll just walk around tapping my button, even if you just, good morning. Don't tell me what to do.
Exactly.
Have a good morning.
Is it a good morning?
Is it a good morning? Maybe for you it's a good morning. Tap my own button.
You don't understand what I've been through.
Right. So the key is to kind of like, I mean, if you have a big button, just learn how to put that coat on.
Yeah, right.
Just cover it up for a minute.
But I agree with you. I don't want to take away from the differences and stuff, right? Like experience and things of that nature. I don't want to take away from that.
Because I kind of like differences.
I do.
It's okay.
What reminds me of is one of my favorite movies, actually, Good Will Hunting.
Uh-huh.
And in that movie, when Robin Williams is talking to Matt Damon's character, Will Hunting, when he's talking to him, and trying to get the kid to understand, empathy and experience and things of that nature. Right. He said, if I talked about the Sistine Chapel, you'd probably rattle off all these statistics about it, who did it and who did this and where, but you couldn't tell me what it smells like while you're in there.
Interesting.
So yes, I don't want to take away, the value of experience. I don't want to take that away.
Right.
I guess I'm trying to find a solution for us all to kind of feel a little bit better about the situation. I don't want people, I don't like the idea that there's people walking this earth right now who feel so isolated because they tell themselves nobody understands.
Right.
I want them to feel a little less isolated, saying, look, they do kind of understand. They might not understand that specific scenario, but they understand pain, or they understand what it is, the basic concept of what you're going through, and they can offer value.
Right.
Like, I want them to know that.
And who doesn't understand not being heard?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, if you tell me you don't feel understood or you don't feel like people get you,
welcome to the club.
That's a very common feeling. Yeah. And so if you're feeling that way and it's bothering you, the fix is relatively simple as far as putting you around people that can relate to that.
Sure.
So if I put you around people that can relate to that and you're still feeling unheard, then you're going to have to look inward and ask yourself, am I putting a blockade here?
Yeah, no, I agree, man.
Pain is personal, so it doesn't matter. I agree with that. Jimmy's saying, it's more important. I think it's more important to put your pain in perspective, or have somebody help you out of that perspective and into a different perspective. I agree with that, 100%. Pain is very personal, and you can't judge someone else's pain. And we talk about that a lot on this show. That if you try to relate to somebody else's pain by trying to say, well, I have felt that. Well, you don't know, because to me, stubbing my toe could be like World War III pain.
Exactly.
But that's my situation, and I'm just using something,
No, but I agree with you. I think people do that sometimes, and they feel minimized. The one-uppers, it's like, what? You
the one-uppers exist.
You stubbed your toe? Oh, come on. Come talk to me when you lose a finger. You know, it's like, well, dude, I don't want to lose a finger, and stubbing my toe hurts. Like, and on a side note, I don't care who you are. Stubbing your toe hurts.
Right. Well, like Marissa said earlier on here, she was like, even though she's paralyzed and in a wheelchair, but she feels that everyone has some sort of paralysis. So she doesn't feel so darn different because she goes, by looking at other people, they have their own form of paralysis while they're focusing on me in my chair. I don't feel as paralyzed, and I think that's a pretty good perspective there.
That is,
right?
No, that is deep.
Yeah.
But even in that situation, right? Like, because when I came up with this topic earlier on the way here, I was thinking to myself, are there any situations to where it is just basically impossible to understand? And paralysis was one of the ones that I thought of. The other one I thought of was losing a child. Like to truly, is it possible for me to truly understand the pain of somebody who lost a child? I'm going to say I don't think so. I mean, I could try.
I don't want to.
I don't think it is.
I don't even want to.
I don't think I could ever do that.
I just don't want to.
No, I don't want to either.
And you know, there's some situations out there that I just don't want to. I don't want to grasp to that extent. You know, I'd rather just be a listener at that point. And I'm not going to try to empathize so deeply because that's once I start feeling that's a serious pain.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not even getting to your pain.
Right.
That's not even getting close to your pain.
Yeah.
I like that Marissa said that she'll never know what stubbing a toe feels like. She kind of laughed at us because she's paralyzed.
That's awesome, man.
That's funny.
But that's kind of how I felt watching the veteran thing.
Right.
You know, was listening to what they were saying on the other line, like listening to kind of some of the stories. Yeah. Man, I felt their pain. You know, I was just like, no, obviously, once again, I didn't feel it like it actually happened to me. Yeah. But wow, like, man.
Well, like my dad came home.
Right.
You know, my dad went to Vietnam twice, but my dad came home.
Right.
You know, other people's dad never came home.
Yeah.
And when my dad came home, he may have been altered and different and whatever, but that's the only dad I knew. So as different or altered as he was still the dad. Yeah. And whatever, he overcame it to a degree that he never shoved it in our face that I'm like this because I was in Vietnam. I think like this because I was in Vietnam. Right. You know, my dad never brought Vietnam home.
Right.
My dad didn't bring Vietnam home. And so he's had to live with whatever he has had to live with on his own in his way. And so I kind of...
Did he see combat?
He's a combat vet, yeah.
I can't imagine some of the stuff he's seen.
And so the way he has dealt with it, I kind of, and he didn't deal with it by surrounding himself with other soldiers because he won't do that. Right. You know, did he like the VFW? Yeah, but he didn't like talking about war and talking about conflict.
Yeah, I can't imagine reliving that every day. It's fun.
I mean, my dad won't even kill a spider, bro. He won't even kill a bug. Right. He'll grab it and set it free. You know, so the way he's dealt with it is his own. So when I look at people suffering pain, I want to deal with pain the way my dad did, not necessarily just internalize it all and just be that way. But he never tried to make himself a martyr either. Yeah. But I want to deal with it in a way where my pain doesn't have to impact yours if I can deal with it differently. If I'm able to deal with my pain and suffering differently, then it shouldn't have to impact yours. But if my pain dealing with it differently is then going to make me hurt me, therefore it is going to affect you, then I'm not dealing with it well. You know what I mean? In other words, if I'm going to go drink it down, I'm going to go drug it down, if I'm going to go cut myself, if I'm going to go kill myself, hurt myself,
or I'm just become bitter,
or isolate, or be such a bitter person, then it is impacting people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is impacting people. That is a way of an example of martyrdom that you don't think you're being one, but you are.
Yeah, and so, nobody wins in that situation.
Nobody wins. And we want you. We want you around. We want to hear it. We want to deal with it. And there's such a better you in there. You don't have to live like that.
Yeah, but I think that...
Mom did see it. You're right. He shoved it down deep, and Mom did see it, and she had to deal with it. And that's why I always give the families of vets a lot of credit. Right. Because they did have to deal with it.
Yeah, well, and they're still dealing with it.
Still.
You know, like,
correct.
We have a whole generation of young kids coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq that has seen things that I couldn't even imagine what that's done to them.
And it's like, you know, they're always young guys, right?
Yeah.
It's always young men and women. Like, so, you know, so
who are not probably
so equipped. I have a 19-year-old daughter. If my 19-year-old daughter would go in the military right now, do you think she's equipped
to handle what she's going to see over there?
I think every human is equipped.
Really?
I completely think every human is equipped.
Do they know they're equipped?
I think they may adapt differently, but I think every human being is equipped to deal with every conflict that exists.
Interesting.
I don't think there's a human out there not equipped to deal with every conflict that exists. It just depends. Are you going to allow your equipment to work?
Interesting.
Are you going to work with that equipment? Because you are equipped.
Yeah, but you don't understand. You that's what they would say, though.
Right.
I think there's people out there that would disagree with that say, no, it's so bad you can't possibly imagine.
I've seen people lose, like, you know, my biggest thing that I deal with, obviously, is the loss of children.
Yes.
I deal with more people that have lost a child than I'd want to.
Yeah.
And trust me, they didn't feel that they were equipped to do that either.
And here they are. A lot of them. Yeah.
Yet they're there.
Yeah, I think, that's the thing that I come across a lot. You know, not as much as I thought that I would.
Yeah.
But I do come across a lot, though, of people who don't think I can help them in recovery because I'm not in recovery myself.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible for me to understand. And as you and I were talking earlier, no, I can't understand all the subtleties of it and all the ins and outs. I'll never understand it. And to be honest with you, I don't want to.
I'm gonna give you an example.
Sure.
If you are out there and you think that you can't help someone because you can't identify, I'm gonna give you an example. All right. So I do a lot of public speaking, right?
Yes.
So in public speaking, I'm not the public speaker that goes up there and imagines you as the audience naked. I think that's just, I don't even understand where that came from.
I don't know why, but when you said all that, my first thought was, isn't all speaking public? Wouldn't it just be, is there any private speaking?
Okay,
go ahead. I'll just be in it. Go ahead.
But in other words, I get up in front of audiences all the time, right?
Yes.
And in getting up in front of audiences, I look at you.
Sure.
I look at people, and I pick certain eyeball. I go around, and the eyeballs that I tend to keep on going back to are the kind ones, the ones that kind of inspire me to keep moving in a certain direction, right?
The ones who are active listening.
Active listening, and so I think that really is the key. In other words, when I'm in a one-on-one conversation, it's no different. You feel more comfortable in a situation when you walk away feeling like you were heard or there was active listening involved.
Right.
Right? Now, if you were making faces, darting around the room, not looking, and kind of, you may think that you were active listening, but you were yawning or you were looking in another direction, well, then that's going to be an annoying conversation. So really, if you want, maybe you cannot empathize. Maybe you can't understand. Maybe you cannot relate. But as long as you active listen when a person is in front of you talking, I think you're being very helpful at that point. And maybe that's all that's needed at that moment.
Well, I kind of do the same, actually. I don't do as much public speaking anymore.
Very true what Jimmy's saying on there if you're reading it.
I don't do as much public speaking as I used to.
Yeah.
But I like, even with the groups and stuff, though, I used to do a lot more of those. But in a group setting, I was always very cognizant of who I was speaking to in the group.
Yeah.
Like, especially some of the larger ones. Like, when I went to Journey Period, they had like 30 people in there at one point.
Right.
I was very always calculating in my head, making sure I scanned across. That way everybody felt like I was talking to them.
Correct.
But the ones I would spend a little bit more time were the extremes. If they were extremely like nodding their head and stuff, I would spend a little bit of time there. Or if they were extremely in disagreement, I would spend time there because my immediate instinct is to try to help them understand differently and maybe bring them closer to the middle, I guess. But yeah, I never pictured people naked and stuff. Like, I never.
I think that's.
But I also never had that fright either, though.
Yeah, I think that's a stage fright thing that gets told. That's why I just threw it out there.
Even in like high school, dude, I was always like, I loved being the center of attention. I was always the one that loved being in the middle of the room. Hey, look at me.
Therefore, we end up on radio.
Exactly. I can't really. But see, that's the thing is I can't relate to. There are things though that if I'm honest, I cannot wrap my head around.
Right.
I just can't. And those.
And that's okay.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, for instance, I told you right here, I don't know all about it, so I don't have all the answers by any means.
Right.
But one of the things that was brought up to me in this conversation of the weekend is apparently there's a whole subset of people who want to date or fornicate with, they call them posies, someone who's HIV positive. I can't wrap my head around that. Like, that I don't understand. Like, you're right. I don't understand. Right. I don't want to understand that.
Yeah.
But
that's a You enlightened me on that one. I didn't know there was a group of people.
I was enlightened on that one.
That wanted to actively seek out people with HIV so that they can contract HIV.
Crazy to me.
That's an interesting subset of individuals.
That I don't understand.
But I don't need to understand them. Right now, there's nobody in front of me that's asking me for any kind of help with that. So I guess I don't have to go too deep in it. I guess the only thing that I did in my head when you brought that up is there are subsets of people that actively put themselves in very risky situations and feel unworthy of life.
Right.
So instead of simply hurting themselves, like we have this, we as humans have it's very difficult to just kill yourself. It's not as easy as you think. In other words, if you try to hold...
I don't think it's very easy.
Well, I'm just saying, if you just try to hold your breath, your body will kick in and not let you hold your breath. You will pass out.
You can't drown yourself.
You can't drown. Your body will pass out and prevent you from killing yourself a lot of times because there's this innate desire to live, right?
Yes.
So even psychologically, it's just very difficult to put yourself in situations to hurt yourself. So I think sometimes there's individuals in such a deep set of depression or a deep set of not wanting to live or feel unworthy to live, that they do very risky activities so that the activity itself kills them. And that's the only thing that I can attribute that kind of thinking that you were, at least initially. I mean, you just told me about it,
I barely
40 minutes ago.
Yeah, I barely know
so
much about
the only
myself.
thing that came into my head was that subset.
My point was, though, is yes, there are things, like I consider myself an intelligent person. Right. I think I've had a wide range of emotions in my life and a wide range of experiences, both good and bad. Right. And so I feel like I'm competent enough to relate to pretty much anybody at this point in my life.
Okay.
I might not be able to fully comprehend your, specific struggle in life.
Yeah.
But I think I've been through enough in my life where I can relate on some level. But yet I do still come across people who just have a certain mindset that I just cannot relate to at all.
Yeah.
And in those situations, I typically ask a lot of questions.
And I bet you it's a very extreme.
That usually is, yeah.
I bet you they're in a very extreme.
Well, it's either usually extreme or it's something that it's something so opposite of where I'm at that it's just like I'm trying to think of an example. Like it's hard for me to relate to this idea of being scared all the time. Right. And that might not be extreme because I think it's a norm. I think a lot of people do feel scared all the time.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it's hard for me to wrap my head around that because I don't walk. I'm 6'3", tattooed up, bearded, 300. I mean, I'm not the victim.
I'll give you one.
Go ahead.
I'll give you one with you involved.
Okay.
Okay. So you said you can't relate to the feeling scared all the time.
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't walk. I'm not a Chihuahua either.
Right.
I clearly didn't know that I was the size of a Chihuahua because I felt like a Doberman Pinscher.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So I thought I was walking out there like a Doberman Pinscher. I just didn't know that I was really a Chihuahua. But anyway, I'm not timid. I'm not the timid guy like you. However, I will relate to what you're saying right now. So early on in my life, I did not like the fact that I always had to position myself. I was always consciously positioning myself in every room I would go into.
Back, not against the...
Right.
Gotcha.
I did not like that. And the reason I didn't like it is because to me it came from a sense of fear. And I didn't want to have the sense of fear. I like the awareness.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I didn't want to lose the awareness.
Sure.
I wanted to lose the fear. So I still positioned myself in a way where I could still be aware.
Right.
I just didn't want to be in fear. So can you relate to that part of that you're not scared a lot, but you did put yourself in a defensive posture?
Oh, I'm always aware. Absolutely.
Right. So in other words, there's a way to understand that there's a sense of fear within that awareness, but the fear is not what's dominant. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But I can also see how I would have a hard time explaining that to somebody who is walking around afraid all the time. I can see them not seeing me understanding it. Like, because I don't make my decisions based upon being victimized, essentially. Like, that's just not a worry of mine when I walk out the door. Like, I don't have, in my checklist of things when I walk out the door, the fact that somebody could attack me when I walk outside, it's just not one of them.
Right.
And so and that's what I mean by, even though I might not be able to relate to that perspective,
right,
I can relate to the situation of being concerned and worried.
Right.
Or in what you were bringing up, being aware and things of that nature.
Right.
So that's how I would go about it, trying to talk to somebody.
Right.
But if I'm honest with myself, no, I don't know what the perspective is like. I don't know making decisions based upon, oh my gosh, this could happen to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to relate to that.
Well, because knowing your past a little bit, I mean, there's some similarities to your past and mine of having to overcome feeling dominated over.
Right.
So
powerless.
Yep. So I think because of that, you and I share some of the same things that we do in rooms.
Sure.
And that's the awareness factor. So it comes from a fear perspective, or it comes from a never again perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I get it. But I think also you and I don't walk in and then we're not timid.
No, I'm not a timid person. But what I'm saying is like.
But your size on its own.
That's what I'm saying. Just I'm not typically the one that people in a room are like, that's the one I'm going to go start with.
But remember, I told you, you're exactly the one I start with.
Right.
So from my standpoint.
See, I've heard that a lot, but I've never had it happen.
But from my standpoint, you are the ones. Because when I would go, I would always be in a new school. And I would always fight the first day of school.
Right.
I was constantly in conflict. And the person I'd always go in conflict with was, to me, whoever was perceived as the biggest, baddest individual in the room. And I don't think I didn't do that on purpose. This is not a storybook like, I looked for the biggest, strong. No, it just naturally, as we became friends, and when I realized that now I'm in the strong group, now I'm in a fighting group, now I'm in the group that people kind of stay away from, I realized, wow, I always fought, with a big, strong person. You know what I mean? So that there was nothing to lose, Trinity.
Sure.
If I'd go up and I'd fight you, Trinity, even if you beat my butt, Trinity, I lost nothing.
Yeah.
But if I put up a good fight and you man, you're like, damn, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because there was a guy I used to know, Lou. We used to call him Crazy Lou.
Right.
So this redneck dude I used to work with.
Right.
Scrawny, like skinny, wiry dude. But he was so rough that I just knew that he's the type of guy that if you fought him, you're gonna have to fight him every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so just because of that, I would never start anything with him because it's not not worth 40 years of having to fight this dude every day.
Right.
It's like, you know what, dude, go ahead. You do your thing, I'll do my thing.
Right.
I would win, but I'd have to win every day. It's just not worth it. No way. I'm good, bro. But anyways,
so we're coming down to the clock. We got about 8 minutes left.
Yeah, we are.
So where do you want to go with it?
It's a little too early, I think, at the moment to do my tips, but
it is too early.
But I think that my main thing is I think in today's day, it's important to have this discussion because right now I see a lot of it. I see a lot of red, blue, like you don't understand. I see a lot of rich, poor, you don't understand. I see a lot of black, white, you don't understand. I see a lot of gay, straight, you don't understand. Trans, you don't understand. Immigration, like you don't understand. Like I see a lot of that, and I think that doesn't do much good for us. I don't think this isolation saying you don't understand. I think instead of focusing on what we don't understand, let's focus on what we do understand. Like you said, I know what it's like to be alienated. I know what it's like to feel unheard. So I think it's easier to build on our similarities than constantly pointing out our differences. Like I don't think.
Is it okay to have differences?
Absolutely. I think that's what makes the world great.
Because I think unfortunately today's message seems to be we should all be same. And I kind of like our differences, and I think it's healthier to be different and allow our differences to be different, knowing that yes, we're all but somewhere in the filter it's going to come down to same.
Sure.
But there's some uniqueness, not terminal uniqueness, not the kind that's going to hurt you, like Craig said earlier, terminal uniqueness, but there's enough uniqueness that I think should still be embraced. Like the day that I'm no longer able to feel like there's a Mexican guitar behind me.
Right.
That is, I like that. You know what I mean? So the day that we're all just the same, banner. We're all the same color. We're all the same banner. I don't know if I want to be. I'm not ready for that world. I don't really want to be in that world, to be honest with you. I kind of like our differences. I love my Irish friends. I love my German friends. I love my Italian friends.
I agree. I think the line that I kind of try to put out there sometimes, especially in to the philosophical, like the Buddhist philosophy, interdependence is what it's called, interconnectedness. We're all connected. We're all the same.
Right.
We're all basically just drops of water in the ocean, kind of thing. So we're all the ocean. We're all so it's like we're all independent. We're all different.
Yeah.
And there's a phrase that I love.
We all have our role.
Well, there's a thing that I love is you're unique and special, just like everybody else.
Exactly.
I love that phrase.
I love that too.
Because it's like, and that's one of the things I'm fascinated with the most with psychology and things of that nature. I might not have got my master's degree and everything else, but I've read tremendous amount of stuff of personality and brain, and I've always been fascinated with that. Because to me, what fascinated me the most, we're all kind of the same. No matter how different we think we are, we all think that we're these unique, special snowflakes that have, probably poor choice of words, I guess. But
you just call me a snowflake.
Yeah, right. But we all think that we're so different. We're such an outlier. Like, we all think we're the outlier, but we're really not. I mean, when you really look at your life and examine it, an example would be, if I asked, everybody always thinks they have these, and I learned this in my nutrition world. Yeah. Everybody thinks that they have these, like, these crazy tastes and stuff. Yeah. But when you actually look at the research, everybody has about 5 foods that they eat. Right. 5 basic meals that they kind of go back and forth of.
Pizza and tacos are up
But
there.
We all feel, though, that we have these, like, enormous palates and we have, like, all these crazy... No, you don't. Like, you think you do, but when you really look at it, you don't. And I think that's in life. You think that you're this so different than the person sitting next to you because they're blue. Maybe you're a white conservative Christian, whatever. The Mike Pences of the world. And then you look at Obama's in the world, and you think that, we're so different. Not really.
They're the same guy.
Yeah, like you're not really that different.
They're the same guy.
There's certain lines that are different and certain belief systems, but at the end of the day, you both want to be happy. You both have your own idea of how to get to that happiness, and you're willing to do what it takes to get there.
And you're both on a pole. I mean, really. I mean, because there's people right behind Mike saying, you know, feeling the same way the people right behind Obama.
Of course.
I mean, the other side does not feel you're as accepting as you think you are.
Yeah.
You know, both sides feel very accepting. Both sides feel very inclusive. That's I think the crazy thing about this whole thing, right? And then you're going to do your 5 things. Is that no matter what side you're on, you're feeling like if you feel like people can't hear you, you're feeling like you're not being included. Well, guess what? The other side feels the exact same way. You are speaking when you say that side doesn't get me. That side's saying the same thing about you.
Yeah.
Now go ahead and do your 5 things, and I'll shut up now.
Yeah.
Or 3 things. I'm sorry.
So our 3 things, and there's a lot more than 3 today, but I'm just gonna keep it at 3 just to make things congruent here, and then we'll thank sponsors and stuff.
I think please thank the sponsors first.
Thank them first.
It's easier to make the promo edit later.
Gotcha. Okay. So sponsors real quick. Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers, fantastic place. Some there have gone through addiction, some haven't, but they all understand. Ooh, let's see, I worked that in there. Same thing with Journey Pure, another great place. And they too understand. They do get it, and that's why they're our sponsors. That's why we accepted them, because they do get it. And if you or anybody you know is struggling with addiction, please reach out to us at the Now Matters More Foundation. You could do that through nowmattersmore.org, where you can learn more about us, donate, things of that nature. Or you can dial 1-833-NOW-MATTERS. That's 1-833-NOW-MATTERS. And you can reach out to Louis or myself, and we'll help you get the help you need. And then last but not least, Orange County Drug Free Coalition, which we do have a meeting this Thursday. Don't forget.
I'll be out of town.
Oh.
I got to go speak at Jacksonville.
I got to look at my schedule, actually, but I thought that you might be here. Anyways, all right, so 3 tips. We're running out of time. Number 1, you have to remember that your story and your triumph is yours, and theirs is theirs. It's okay that you have your story, whether it be pain, whether it be triumph, and they have their own story. It's okay to have your own story, and it's okay to be different. But just understand that no matter how fixated on yours that you are, they're fixated on theirs as well. And understand also that your story, the second one, is your story is no better or worse than somebody else's. Right? Your story is different, yes, but when you start to compare, that's where you start to lose things. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different, and that's okay. And then the last one is, no matter what they have or haven't gone through, or what they can and can't relate to, everybody's perspective offers some sort of value. I might not have gone through the same trials and tribulations that you have. I might not be in the same living status as you, or whatever it may be, but I can still provide some value, because I still have a perspective, I still have a take, I still have insight that I can value, and same, and back and forth. So that is our 3 tips. We are running out of time. I'm looking at the timer click down. So now that you know better, do better. Peace.
I think he plans it all out. Just makes it up as he goes along.
Human knowledge belongs to the world.